Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, they were in a movie together. Justin was the director, producer, all that stuff, and then he was also the co-star with Blake Lively. So this movie is basically about a book. The book is called "It Ends with Us," and the movie is also named the same. And the whole thing is about basically like domestic violence and women pulling out of it. And it's supposed to be a very, very impactful film. Really, the book got a lot of really great reviews. There was a whole bunch of people that said, "Hey, this book helped me," and everyone was really looking forward to the movie. So they're going to do this movie together. And when Justin starts going through basically everything, he finds out, first off, Blake Lively did not read the script. She wanted to be able to improvise just with her own experience and her character. So she did not read the script at all. And so she really didn't understand who the character she was portraying was. So they start doing this movie. It's a very intimate movie. So there's a lot of scenes where, they kind of have to be together. And like there's a scene where they're dancing, and there's a childbirth scene that's supposed to be in it, kind of all types of very, very intimate stuff. And it ends up with Blake Lively basically saying Justin sexually harassed her. Like that was the whole thing. She's suing him. She's going after him as much as she possibly can. So the whole drama starts. So Blake is saying there were a couple different instances. One, there's this scene in the movie where they're dancing, and supposedly Justin kind of got a little too close. There was something saying that like he licked her, but he didn't really lick her. There's all types of stuff.
With me, I'm thinking like when you're an actress and an actor, those aren't supposed to be like intimate moments for you. You're acting.
Sure, but you do have to portray the character, so it's
Right.
going to get a little handsy and stuff. And what a lot of people were saying, first off, Blake Lively is a wife and a mother, and being in a movie with that many kind of intimate scenes, maybe that wasn't quite the right thing for you. And maybe if you would have read the script beforehand, you would have known some of this stuff. So there was that going on, and that was kind of Justin's defense. Like, hey, this is supposed to be an intimate movie. What do you expect? So the next thing was there was a situation where Blake was in her trailer and Justin was eating. So he's off somewhere else. He texts her and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna come through real quick. I just want to finish eating." And Blake said, "Oh, no worries. I'm breastfeeding right now, but you can go ahead and come on in." So Justin finishes up eating, goes into the trailer, and starts talking to Blake. And of course, she's still breastfeeding and all that. Okay, some women don't care about that at all. Some women, don't stare at me. It all depends on the person. But keep in mind for all this, he even has a podcast basically like supporting the feminist movement and making sure the Me Too movement and making sure that women's rights are adequately portrayed and make sure there's fair ground for everybody. So he's very, very caring. At least he seems to be very caring about a lot of this stuff. So he wants to make her feel as comfortable as possible. So goes into the trailer, starts talking to her. She doesn't say anything, doesn't have any issue with the fact that he's in there while she's breastfeeding, all types of stuff. And then they start talking about a birthing scene, like where she is supposed to give birth. So he shows her the video of his wife giving birth to his child, and basically is just like, "Hey, I want this scene to go a little bit like this. I want it to be very, very intimate and kind of a personal scene just between the characters."
Right. And that's portraying a visualization of what he wanted the scene to look like. because
Right.
he's trying to get his point across. I'm a visual learner.
That's all it is. I mean, that from my standpoint, that makes perfect sense why he would show that. Blake,
And Jess is saying a home water birth,
yeah,
and it was completely PG.
yeah, it was not crazy. It was a home water birth. There's not like a whole bunch of, they aren't right up in there with the camera and all that stuff. So it's not something that serious. Blake turns it around and it's just like, hey, uh, he came barging in my trailer while I'm breastfeeding.
Wasn't there a prior text message of her saying like I'm breastfeeding, you're welcome to come over?
This is the narrative for the whole thing. Every single time something happens, like she's taking something and blowing it out of proportion, and then he has a text thread or something basically saying, this is what really happened. It definitely wasn't like that. Because that was the thing. She tried saying, hey, he barged in my trailer and started showing me corn, which obviously is
While
something.
she's feeding her baby. So
Right.
right.
Now, this gets really, really interesting because then you have Blake Lively was basically trying to take control of the movie, and this is kind of where all this begins. She started going to Baldoni and was like, hey, I want to rewrite this scene. I want to rewrite this scene. And she complained to him, basically saying that when I'm in movies, I don't feel like I get enough creative control. So I want to be able to work on some of these scenes. And he said, oh, okay, cool, no problem. Even showed the text thread of that, like, hey, that sounds perfect. I would love to get your insight. So go ahead and we'll submit it and see what happens. So she rewrites some of these scenes, has Baldoni go over to her house to discuss a couple of these scenes, and Ryan Reynolds is there. And Ryan and Blake basically proceed to tag team Baldoni, like, hey, this is how it needs to go. Oh, I think this is so much better. So Blake Lively and Taylor Swift are best friends. She had Taylor come in and basically say, "Oh, I think Blake's version is awesome. This is absolutely the way it should be." So Baldoni, even though he knows that the scenes are not that great, he's just like, "Okay, I got to do whatever I got to do because now I have these three powerhouses basically telling me this is how it's going to go." So Baldoni starts getting a little frustrated with it. He's just like, we're deviating from what the film is meant to be.
Right.
Blake starts going on basically all these shows, doing all these interviews about the movie. And normally, whenever you have those types of things, you have the leading stars. So normally it would be Blake and Justin, but it was always just Blake. She cut him out of a lot of that stuff, again, trying to take control. And then, go ahead.
Where is their managers during all this time? Like, why didn't the managers work this out instead of making the actors and actresses do it?
Because they didn't want to turn it into that. So Justin Baldoni is I believe he's the CEO of Wayfair, which is the people that make the movie, that are making that movie. So he kind of is the top dog in that regard. Blake, she kind of seems like she doesn't need a manager. She has Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift, all these big names kind of backing her. She's experienced in the field. She knows kind of what's going on. So she's kind of handling this herself. So all this is going on. She's doing these interviews and she's deviating even more from what the movie's supposed to be about. So we're talking about a domestic violence movie. We're talking about something that is very, very serious, is going to affect people in a very, very big way, and can be very uplifting to some people whenever they watch the movie. And she's
Right. It
on
can
there.
make people that have been through that feel less alone and they can
Right.
connect and resonate with the scenes.
Right, and she's in here changing up the wardrobe, which supposedly that was a very, very important part of the story, is what was being worn and stuff. She changed it up to all this like really crappy stuff that nobody liked. She basically started promoting her hair care line and promoting products that she has, and it
That's what
just,
Jess was saying.
yeah, she was promoting all her stuff, basically turning this very serious DV situation, movie, whatever, into a ad campaign for all her products. So that just takes away from her credibility overall. So she's doing this. She was also asked in one of the interviews, like, if someone who has dealt with a domestic violence situation, if someone came up to you and asked, hey, how should I handle this? She literally started dodging the question and talking nonsense. Like, she said something about, what, do you want me to, like, drop my location or something? It was a whole bunch of really weird stuff. So
That is weird.
she's not even trying to be an advocate for people in this situation, even though
And
she,
as a mother,
yeah.
in my opinion, as a mother, you have to put yourself in other people's shoes sometimes and realize, like, this could potentially happen to my child down the road. Like, I'm going to advocate and I'm going to put my
Mhm.
foot down. And she could have used that as a beautiful moment to be an advocate and empower other women instead of making it about her and the products that she's trying to push.
She has never experienced anything like that in her life, as far as I've seen. She has
Right.
always kind of been very entitled, so she literally just doesn't understand what people in a DV situation are actually going through. And they have enough standing and money. They don't need to go crazy, with uh making a movie actually matter.
It almost like dehumanizes the whole situation, in my
Hmm.
opinion. She's taken away from something that a lot of women and men have been through. Not just women, men as well.
This is the thing. She knew it was such a serious topic, but she wanted to make it her own and basically steal the show to make it look like it was her movie about this serious thing, and to show how emotionally mature she is and everything. And it kind of backfired on her because she has no idea about any of it. And then Ryan's coming in and trying to also take control of everything, and basically cussing Baldoni out and just freaking out about, how can you treat my wife this way, everything. And Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, they're kind of like one of the golden couples of Hollywood. Like,
Right.
they're looked up to by a lot of
They're
people.
elite. There's
Yeah.
elite people in Hollywood, and they're elite.
Very, very, very much so. So this is what all is going on, and and Jess just said it. Marvel already dropped Ryan because of all this, which is crazy because they were just getting into all the Deadpool stuff and bringing in the X-Men in the movies, and now Ryan is no longer Deadpool. And I do believe, like, Ryan is one of the best people ever for Deadpool. I think he's great, but this just goes to show all this entitlement and pettiness and bullshit that is part of these elite Hollywood actors and actresses. Their lives are just crazy
Well,
because,
they think that they're untouchable. And
yeah,
honestly, I feel like they have no connection with like real human issues and problems because guess what? They don't have to worry about not having enough food on the table for
right.
dinner. They don't they these things are not even thoughts in their head.
Right. It's all, we're the little people to them. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that is what's going on. Blake Lively is suing Baldoni, and then Baldoni is countersuing her, and it's all like defamation and sex, harassment and all this stuff. And now what's happened is two other girls who were actresses in the movie have also said that Baldoni made them feel uncomfortable. Not that he actually did anything to them, but that he made them feel uncomfortable. And they expressed this with Blake while the filming was going on, like before all this other stuff started happening. So they won't release who those actresses are. I personally think that Blake had this plan all along, very clearly. She had this plan to take over the movie and knew it wasn't going to go well. You know, obviously there's going to be some stuff going on. And like Jess said, she convinced them to say it. I think while they were filming, she basically told them, "Hey, I need you to be on my side." And it's Blake Lively who's going to go against her. So I need you to be on my side and say that he was making you feel uncomfortable. This is not first time behavior, but this just goes to show, like, I feel like this whole movement where everybody was really behind anyone who claimed, you know, hey, there was sexual harassment stuff going on. Anyone who said, you know, this guy is mistreating me, that used to be like instantly the guy would be condemned and the book was thrown at him and he was put in jail or lost a whole bunch of money. I think that is starting to turn around because so many people have filed false accusations against other people. So it's turning around this whole movement of, hey, we can just, if there's anything that goes wrong in any situation, we can say, oh, there was sexual harassment, and it instantly gets turned around. Because everybody, as far as I've seen, I have not seen anybody on Blake Lively's side. I've only seen
Right.
people on Justin's. I've
Well,
tried.
because when people see things as a pattern and they continuously have issues with the same people.
So Ricky said also they have so many different people hired on set to prevent things like this from occurring. So yes, and what ended up happening is because Justin is kind of the he's the CEO of the company. Blake is basically saying that anytime something was said, it wasn't taken seriously, and he was kind of scooting things under the rug. The other problem is Blake in the beginning, like Justin was very adamant that, hey, we need you to meet with the intimacy coordinator. And the intimacy coordinator is there to make sure these types of situations, those intimate moments in the movies, make sure they're safe and done right and no one is going overboard, and kind of help teach them how to be intimate as actors and actresses.
When you get into that actor or actress role, you're playing a part. You're not in your normal, like, you're literally playing a part. You
Right.
have to play the part to make it look real.
Well, and Blake said she didn't need it. She said she did not need an intimacy coordinator repeatedly. And then all this happens. So obviously, you did need an intimacy coordinator. Like, why didn't you have them in the first place?
Well, I think legally they should have all those things ironed out to make sure that there's never false accusations or somebody doesn't step out of line.
You say that, but let me put it to you like this. It is one of those situations where, again, someone with extreme power is saying,
Power.
and experience is saying, hey, I don't need this. So, as a fellow co star, Justin's just like, hey, you know what? I trust you. I believe in what you're trying to do, and I believe in you as a person. So, let's go ahead. We don't need that intimacy coordinator yet. They brought them in later, but that first little while they didn't have them, puts all this faith in her, and then she really just she doesn't know what's going on. And it's I think she denied the intimacy coordinator so that she could do all this. If he said, hey, we have to do this, and she continues pushing, no, I don't want this, now it puts everything on hold. The movie's running behind. There are people getting paid, and we're wasting millions of dollars. I mean, every week you extend a film, every extra week of filming you need for TV, for movies, whatever, you're talking hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars that get
Right.
wasted.
Time is money.
Hmm. I think that's kind of where the disconnect was on that. It was very, if somebody can save some money on a movie, a lot of people are going to try. Especially nowadays, what movies are not making the same like they used to. And whenever you're going to have these big name actors and actresses, you're already dishing out a shit ton of money as it is. So being able to keep things very streamlined as a producer, I can see why he went ahead and just said, okay, we can go ahead and move on.
You know what it is? It all comes down to entitlement, which kind of brings us into the next topic of the entitlement with Ash Trevino that I see everyone talking about in the comments. I literally was deceased watching that video of her thinking that at like 2 o'clock in the morning, Netflix randomly called her.
That shows how much she thinks she is special. She thinks she is some top shit, and she's an idiot. It's
But you know what's so funny? Like logically, why would some big company contact you while you're on a live in the middle of the night? And she fell right for it. That's the best part. I was deceased. And then did you see the lie detector test? That had me dying.
you can tell how full of shit she is. Even
Right.
Camilla Aranjo or whatever her name is repeatedly tried calling her on her lies, especially the stuff about her kids. And now she's going out. Ashley Trevino's going after Camilla because of all that and all the drama. She's still repeatedly on that podcast with Camilla. She repeatedly said Santos isn't even like really in the picture. He's not around anymore because she's got her new man Max, who is a 23-year-old Christian virgin who they had never met. Dude, it's just all types of stuff. Like it's just
You know what?
ridiculous.
Even my own kids know about Ash Trevino because kids at school talk about it, and
Crazy.
they show me a Roblox face with her on it.
Was it just a troll face?
It looks like a troll, straight up. I was like, what the? They're like, Mom, look at Ash Trevino's Roblox. I'm like, what?
And that's crazy that kids know about that. Like
Right. But the thing is like the I forget she's like in her late 30s. Dating men
36.
that young is just I don't know, like
And she
but
is.
but she's making freaking money. And
Yep.
it's like she's doing something better than all of us that's sitting here not.
Yeah, but if that's what you got to do to make money, do you really want that?
It's
Like,
very odd behavior. No, actually I wouldn't want that. And I'm not the type of person that could really sit there and be live all day long showing my life.
no, no way.
No, no
It's
way. It's very intrusive. Like she will literally be live and sitting on the phone, like calling up like doctors and making appointments and stuff. Like, why do you need to do that when you're on a live?
well, and Jess just said it. TT will be bored with her eventually, and that's how all of these people are. All of these
And that's
people
like what
blow.
happened with Adrielle Sigler.
Yeah, all these people blow up and then give it a month or two, and it's just like no one cares. Adrielle is finally gone. She got raided by the FBI while she was out clubbing, and then her kid was home. Just a whole bunch of stuff because somebody made a call to the FBI
And
saying there's stuff going
Adrielle
on.
is really pissed off that Ashley Trevino is the one getting all the attention. I've
Mhm.
seen videos that she's made, and she's like, why are all my people over there, and everyone's watching that, and not me no more? Because guess what? Your 15 minutes of fame is gone, bitch. It's gone.
And no one really cares about these people. That's the thing. They just want that drama. There's drama
Right.
going on, so they're in it. And that's what I was talking about last time with the money.
Drama, the money.
She's making all this money and it's about to be cut off, and then she's not going to know what to do with herself. She's still
Well,
going
you
to.
know what it is? And a lot of these people that are making money aren't being smart about it. They're not invest in their money. They're not. They're out there buying like dumb stuff instead of
Yeah.
making sure that they have the bare necessities of life.
Well, and so Ash's kids are on TikTok, both of them.
Right.
Hell, her older daughter has a larger following than she does. Granted, it was because Ash's account got shut down, but it's still like there are other people trying to take care of her kids more than she's taking care of her kids. People on TikTok, people that Ash has talked to, because her kids are like crazy embarrassed to their mom.
Could you imagine even trying to go to school or anything? And like my kids talk about her. So could you imagine being her kid?
They talked about they have lost quite a few friends because of her. Because one, they're embarrassed to even be associated, but they're afraid to like go to her house because they're worried that because it's happened before that Ash is going to say something about one of the friends and then they get associated with all that bullshit and that nobody wants to be a part of it.
Well, could you imagine needing to hire? My kids even say fake security. My daughter's like, Mom, Ash Trevino walks around with fake security trying to make herself look like she's something.
That is the only reason why she gets security to make herself look important. It's not to actually keep her safe because no one cares about her like at all. It's wild. And this
You
again,
know what it is? It's ego. It all boils
yes.
down to this whole podcast today. It's people with inflated egos that blow up for no reason and feel like they're untouchable.
And it's just sad that this is what these are the people we're making famous. Like why are we giving these people attention? I understand we like the drama and everything, but like I get talking about them and kind of going along with the story, but you're throwing money at these people
Right.
and
Like
breaking
gifts,
deals.
gifts that are thousands and thousands of dollars, knowing that she ain't ever going to give her kid any of that. It's
Oh,
all for her.
yeah.
And probably the man that she's with now, because he's probably just with her to mooch off of her. He
Oh,
watch that whole Christian thing's gonna do a whole 360.
supposedly not. Supposedly he has his own cash and Jess,
How,
her kids still supposedly don't have a bed, but Camilla Aranjo, she is buying the kids like a like full bed set. She promised it multiple times. So as far as I know, she's doing that. Max and her broke up. I hadn't seen that yet. Oh my god. So Ash won't let Camilla buy it, and that's what I wondered because it enhances Ash's persona. Plus, she is trying to make Camilla be the bad guy now, just because
right.
she
She's
just
going
realized.
after her because apparently she made 60,000 off that podcast. But they had an agreement that she was going to fly Ash out there with her daughters and stay for a certain amount of days.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, um, Ash wanted to keep like stay a few extra days. So she was slick about it because she contacted Camilla and was like, "Do you mind if I extend my flight a few days?" Camilla did it. She didn't mention the part about needing to extend the Four Seasons Hotel for a few days and have that shit paid for by Camilla.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the fact that like Camilla's actually trying to help and take care of the kids and do something uh good for her. And even after all the bullshit she's done, she still trying to help and you're gonna shut that down. And then yeah, Santos on there freaking being a creeper and shit. And so repeatedly, Ash said she did not care about Santos. She was not interested in Santos, all this stuff. But you see how much he's still around,
I
and
don't agree. Right.
you
I
know they're
completely
fucking.
don't agree. You know what it is? He doesn't want nothing to do with her. And she can't mentally handle that, I think. I really truly believe she has something for these young dudes.
I don't know. He's kind of a creep. I could see him I think he wants it, or he's just riding that bandwagon.
How could you want that? I'm sorry, but like,
So Jess said she legit cried over him, but
right.
she repeatedly said she
Yeah,
did
but
not care about
she's
him.
repeatedly being caught lying in a lot of
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
also.
That's all she does. She lies all the time. Most TikTokers, heck, and it was a big thing back with all the YouTubers back in the day. Almost all of them have had their house raided. It's almost like a rite of passage. Like you have to get your house raided by the FBI because it happened to Logan Paul, Jake Paul constantly. It happened to Fuzi. It happened to shoot, Nelk got caught up multiple times. I mean, it happens to so many people, and it's crazy because you got to think they could actually be out going after real criminals, and you're just wasting those resources and wasting their time.
Right. And that's what happened, like with the Adrielle Sigler situation. Police were called to her house. She
Hmm.
wasn't home. Her son was home. And that could have went the complete opposite way. They were told that there was someone in the house with a gun. And they had to go in
Pew pew
thinking it was an active gun situation.
pew pew.
What if they accidentally shot the
Right.
son?
They don't care about stuff like that though. Now, whether it was actually her that called it in on herself just to get the attention and everything,
I kind of think it's going to come out that it was because I feel like she's a
probably.
little delulu.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely insane. But whether it was her or it was a random person, one, that person's going to get in huge trouble because that's a false accusation, and I can't remember what it's actually called. Yeah, it
It's
is.
like a whole SWAT situation, which causes fear. Could you imagine the PTSD that that child has? Literally just comfortable chilling in your house, and then all of a sudden you don't know, and the kids are probably thinking like, "Oh my God, what did my mom do?" Because they know that there's always some situation that surrounds their mother, unfortunately.
Could you imagine that being your life? Like whenever you were a kid, I had a very, very hectic household and my parents were at each other all the time and it was not a really safe environment. But at the same time, like it wasn't out to the world. There weren't thousands of people watching every single minute of it. Could you just and you aren't asking for that. You're a kid.
Right.
You aren't asking for your parents to do that type of thing.
And
I feel
that's
so
why,
bad.
like, when it comes to TikTok, and I know you do the same thing, like, your kids aren't the highlight of your videos. They're
Right.
not right. And then also, like, my two older kids, they don't really want to get in my videos. When I pull out the camera, they don't that's not where they feel comfortable. So I respect that.
It's different if it's someone, hell, like if you're playing games, or even if it was somebody like Kai Sanat or something, just doing kind of crazy stuff. Whenever it's the more PG things, I feel like that wouldn't be a big deal because people actually like look up to some of these streamers and some of these YouTubers and stuff, and they think just what they're doing is cool. And if that's what the parent was doing, okay, and then bringing the kids in and having fun, that would be a lot of really cool memories a lot of the time. But whenever it's this nonsense drama, it's crazy.
My kids love to watch the Trench Family on YouTube. They're huge. But what I don't like about a lot of these channels is they have their kids in these videos where it's like, oh my God, there's an invader in the house. Somebody's stalking us. Could you imagine being a small child, but they're making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of literally instilling fear into their children, making them think they're being stalked and this? What's going to happen down the road with those kids' mental health?
How much do you think they really care, though?
Right.
Because do you think that down the road they're really going to be like, oh, I made all these millions, but I feel bad because my kid is jacked up, or are they just going to make excuses saying their
The
kids
parents are
someone
the
else?
parents are probably going to just spend it. Like
Yeah,
like they I looked up the Trench family because I couldn't believe like my kids are so obsessed with them, but it's like I'm trying to tell my kids this isn't real. These are skits. Like this is all fake.
yeah,
Everything that you're sitting here watching, they're like, "Oh my god, somebody's stalking them." I'm like, "That is fake."
right, yeah, but
And then those kids are going to grow up one day and as I'm sitting here watching it, I'm thinking, "Damn. Like what's going to happen when these kids struggle mentally down the road? Who's going to help them?" Because there's a lot of YouTube families that just put their kids full on out there, like with very intimate situations, like their daughter getting their first period. And like,
yeah.
why do you need to make a video about that?
And it's weird because we haven't been able to see kind of the ramifications of that yet because this hasn't been a thing for quite long enough. A lot of those kids are hitting the point where they're like 14, 15, 16 now, and they aren't on their own yet.
I do believe, Katie, that the kids like know that it's a script, but
Oh, yeah, they
still,
do.
but still, because they play along. Like the parents tell them, "Oh, we're doing this today," and but that's a lot of being deceitful. You're not being upfront with your kids. And it's like, is that really teaching them right?
They definitely know it's fake. A lot of these kids are not only do they know it's fake, they're coached like the entire time. They're literally given scripts to practice and have to redo these scenes, and like it is very much like constantly being on a TV show.
And a lot of these kids are homeschooled because
Hmm.
the parents need to monopolize their time
Oh
to
yeah.
do these videos. But if you look up some of these families, like we did a podcast on Ruby Frankie before. She's
Hmm.
in jail right now because she literally was abusing her children, and people saw it when she was posting her YouTube videos. And eventually, one of the kids had to escape out of a bad situation,
Hmm.
and she ended up getting caught. But her daughter wrote a book about how she believes that kids should not be in videos like that because they're not given informed consent to put those vulnerable childhood moments out there for everyone to see.
And they think it is justified, and it depends on the family because I feel like some of them do it right. Like they don't try and exploit, and the kids are part of it, but not all of it.
What Sarah's saying is true. If kids are in the videos, the parents need to be forced to have a Coogan account, like a way to put money aside for their children's future so that the parents aren't just, hey, banking off their kids.
Well, and they're just justifying it because these kids get all the toys they want. They get all this like crazy stuff. They get to do all these
And
crazy
that, I'm
things.
sorry, bothers me. Do you know why it does? Because when holidays come around, my kids look at what's under those kids' trees and
Mhm.
they compare, oh my God, well, they look at what they got, mom. They must have been better than us. No. You know what it is? They're getting paid to promote those products. So they're placing them under the tree. And
Right.
that does not justify that they're better than you because you might have less.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
Right.
It's
It
a
distort it unfortunately distorts reality. And
right.
yeah, like saying it's from Santa. Like when I go to the store, it's like, oh, so and so has that. And they're all these kids from YouTube. Yeah, they have it because they're getting paid to promote the products.
I feel like some of this stuff is starting to move into the realm of like how TV was back in the day. Like even with reality TV where people are viewing it and you're starting to see like this is very fake and people understand that as a whole. I think we are slowly getting there just because I mean this is what all the content is nowadays. And then you have AI also, so it's kind of like everything is fake and lies that's online, and people are starting to see it.
And it's the people that are making like skit videos and stuff like that that are making bank. Dude, we're all just on here doing this wrong. I
I
could come act like a moron 24/7 if I'm going to get paid.
Yeah, easily. It's not
But
hard.
I'm not the type of person that could do that either.
I don't want to be known as that.
Right, me either.
Yeah, that's I could never. Um, what's going on with this one that she had the wrong embryo put into her?
So there was a woman at a fertility clinic that ended up, she was on an IVF journey, and unfortunately the wrong embryo was implanted into her. She becomes pregnant. She, the second that she gave birth, she looked at the baby and realized this is definitely not my baby. She said the moment she gave birth, she was like, "Oh my God, this is such a beautiful baby. I'm so in love," because she carried the baby. But she could tell that the baby was of African American descent, and her husband were not.
Okay,
So,
so it was a white couple or whatever, and they had a
right.
black
So
kid.
immediately she could tell something was off, and then she knows that she did IVF, so it was like the thought was immediately there that, oh my God, they implanted the wrong embryo into me. So she ended up getting the baby. She contacted the clinic and told them, like, you guys effed up, you made a mistake, and they ended up doing DNA testing. So she ended up getting, they swapped the embryos.
So did this other family that was theirs end up?
That's the one. That is the one part that I'm not clear on. So I don't want to speak on that because I want to do more research. I only looked at bits and pieces of the story. So now this woman's bonded with a child because she carried this child. She loved this baby. And until all this stuff got ironed out, like she had to take care of this baby and she felt like it was her child, but she gave it up. She ended up having to give the baby to, I think, the real biological parents.
Wait, she was forced to? Like they made her do
The
that?
other family is getting the other child, right? She has to give the child up, a child that she loved, but she knows is not biologically hers now
Who made her give the baby up?
because it the, she ended up going through the embryo clinic and all that. There's a big investigation, and I guess the other family had attorneys. Like it is a big story, and because it wasn't her baby, the courts, like,
So please tell me she is suing the shit out of this company.
dude, mental distress. Think about the amount of
Fuck that. The
mental
time.
torment, right?
The time, the strain on your body, the mental effect it has, like all the long going mental issues it'll cause, fear in having the next baby. I mean, and they were going through IVF, so it's not like it's easy for her to have a kid.
Right.
So what if she never ends up having a kid again? That was her only chance.
When she gave birth, she instantly said like she loved that baby. And then, but yeah, both of the families are suing them. I really hope that both of the families can build a friendship with one another so that they can still see the baby. Like,
It's just, is that going to cause the mental toll to be even more? Because it's like a constant reminder.
you bond while you're pregnant, and then to have to give that child up.
I wonder if
Uh,
that bond will ever be there with the baby, with the actual parents. You know what I mean?
Now your baby's bonded to someone else and not you. And sometimes those bonds just don't build overnight. It's like when you get your kids taken even from DCF, like that messed up my bonds with my kids at certain points.
We'll look into that story some more so we have more details next time. Cause yeah, that's just I could not imagine like how crazy would that be? Cause you got to think too. You have all this buildup. I mean, the baby's in you for 9 months. So you have this entire time that you're so looking forward to the baby. You're getting everything ready, the room, all the stuff. All your family members are so excited, everything, and the baby comes out and it's the best moment of your life, and then you look and it's not yours, clearly not yours.
I have to say that thank God that the mistake was made where they could have kind of realized it right away. Because what if it was of a different ethnic, like, what if it was a white baby and they just thought it
Yeah.
was their baby? Like,
Yes.
thank God it was a mistake that was obvious.
If it was a white baby, I don't know if they ever would have figured it out, you know what I mean?
Right. They might not
Would have
have.
it almost would have been better. I mean, would you, at that point, would you want to know, especially knowing the outcome and the fact that they had to give the baby up, would you want to
Honestly,
know?
Katie, this doesn't happen often because I don't want to instill fear into people that need to go through IVF. This is just one of those crazy, bizarre, like stories that it doesn't. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, but I don't think it happens often. I've even seen like people go on YouTube doing IVF and like they show you the embryo and it has like a tag on it before they implant it. Like, so somebody
Mix
made
something up.
fumbled. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody really fumbled with that one.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's something that happens all the time.
Right.
It's really probably, and that's why I'm glad they're both going after the clinic, because it is 100% somebody in the clinic messed up, and it's I can't imagine they have people failing that much all over the place.
Well,
Like
that's scary to think. Like, is the person going to lose their job? Is the doctor going to lose their practice over that?
probably
Because I would want to tear the place down.
they probably will, because you got to they're likely going to win millions each family.
Right.
That would crush a practice.
But to me, all those millions of dollars is not going to, it's not, it wouldn't even help me mentally to get over what happened. Money isn't going to change the fact that someone carried the wrong child for all of those years at all.
Well, right. It's never going to actually fix the issue. It's to make
Right.
it so because you had to go through this, we want to make sure that you are as
Compensate it.
set as much as possible. Yeah. Even though you
But
had to go through this, now you have all this money and you can hopefully live a good life and do this again.
my trust would be out the door at that point. I really literally would have to like see it in action. Like,
I think they would try to do it again. I would be more worried that it doesn't take again. But I
see, and
mean,
that's a scary thing. A lot of people go through these journeys and it takes a long time and that's just
mhm.
devastating to that family for both of them.
Yeah, because it finally worked. They probably thought at one point they probably thought we are never going to have a kid. Tried all this, it finally did work. They waited that entire time, and then it's not theirs. Like
And
that's
I
huge.
also want to know if the couples had other embryos. So when they do like the egg retrieval and all that, sometimes you only get a certain amount of embryos out of that. What if that was like their one and only embryo that they got and now they don't have that chance again unless they go through the whole procedure again?
I mean, technically, it wasn't that embryo. You know what I mean? I see what
Right.
you're saying with the other family and stuff.
No, I'm saying like when you go through the process of IVF, some people only get so many embryos out of the procedure. Like 5 embryos. This
Right,
family got 2. What if that was their only one?
right, but that embryo is still somewhere because it wasn't used.
It's crazy. That's but
Somebody
now,
else could have that baby in
right,
there.
and that's what I'm saying. Now the family might have to go through the whole process all over again.
Shit, I say everybody, all the people that go to that clinic, they all just go in there, throw all the embryos up in the air, and whichever one you catch, you get, and we all get to have a good time.
Well, honestly, Kyle, I feel like a lot of the other families that did
They got
have
a
a pregnancy out of there are now going to want DNA testing.
1,000%. See
I
if
know
this
I
happened
would if that
again.
was me. Right.
Yeah, I would want that. I would, and I wouldn't be paying for it either.
Right. I would make them pay for it. They
Yeah,
should have to pay for each and every pregnancy to make sure that there was never a mistake like that made.
yeah.
Right.
They'll probably have to go back quite some time too, because at a certain point, the kid's going to be old enough where you really can't take it away from the family. It is not in the best interest. I think that's the only reason why they did it here is because it was still obviously a very young baby, and they could make that
I'm pretty
transition.
sure that by the time the baby got taken away, they were like 16, 17 months old. Like this woman had to literally raise this baby, but she loved the baby.
Right. And that's I mean that's pretty old, but at the same time their memories aren't all there yet.
Right.
So it's still early enough where it's not going to have a crazy impact. Not the same
The
way.
impact, unfortunately, is on the parents'
Right.
shoulders, and that is absolutely traumatic and devastating all in itself.
Yeah. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys. We love
Love
you all.
you.
We will see you next time.